Hello everyone, welcome back to the Flicks Files. A little while ago, I did a review of a sports movie called Hoosiers, and I really enjoyed doing it. I just loved talking about that movie. And when I was working on the list of films that I'm going to be doing for future videos on this channel, I realized that quite a few of them are science fiction movies. And I thought, well, before I overwhelm you all with a glut of science fiction reviews, maybe I should sneak in another sports movie review of a film that I really love and I've always enjoyed since the first time I saw it. It's a golf movie, but it's a surprisingly engaging golf movie. You think golf movies wouldn't be that exciting, but I really like this and I'm hoping to win you over with this video. So the movie is Tin Cup, which was released in 1996 and stars Keving Costner. And this was directed by Ron Shelton. And Ron Shelton has a bit of a history with sports movies. I've mentioned him before. He did, I think his breakthrough big movie was a film called Bull Durham, a baseball movie that also starred Kevin Costner. And he did White Men Can't Jump, which was the basketball movie with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. And so, you know, I was kind of went into this the first time I watched it thinking, well, you know, I know who Ron Shelton is and the other sports movies of his that I've seen I really like. So, you know, let's give it a go. And the movie starts where Kevin Costner is kind of a washed up ex-professional golfer. And we learn as the movie plays out that he has a bit of an issue with, I wouldn't say he's cocky, but he comes across as slightly more arrogant in terms of his skills than the people around him are. Now, it may make you think that would make him an unlikable character, but far from it. He really is a likable character. He is the protagonist in the movie. And you do get to, you know, kind of root for him as the movie plays out. So at the start of the movie is he owns this ramshackle driving range in Texas with his friend and caddy, played by Cheech Marin, a character called Romeo. And at the beginning of the movie, Rene Russo turns up to his driving range for golf lessons. So Rene Russo plays a psychologist in the movie, and she's looking to improve her golf. And it's fair to say that when Kevin Costner first meets her, he falls head over heels for her. Who wouldn't? And it's quite clear that he starts to immediately think, well, how can I win her over? Which leads him onto a path of trying to better himself. And shortly after that, we're introduced to the main antagonist of the movie, which is played by Don Johnson. And he is an active professional golfer who is arrogant. You know, he is a bit of a character, but strangely, he is still quite a lovable character, and it's hard to thoroughly dislike him. But he turns up to Kevin Costner's driving range, and he offers him a job. And there's a golf tournament that's coming up, and Kevin Costner thinks that Don Johnson is going to invite him into this tournament to play. But it turns out that's not what he wants at all. He wants Kevin Costner to be his caddy. So Kevin Costner's a little bit, but he needs the money. So he kind of, agrees to do it and plays along for a while. And what happens when they're out playing the tournament is there's a point in the game where Don Johnson has to make a shot over a water hazard. And rather than take a stronger club and try and hit the ball over the water hazard, he wants to what they call lay up, as in hit the ball to his side of the water hazard and then use a shot to then knock the ball over the water hazard. And Kevin Costner, as his caddy, kind of berates him for it and says, "Oh, you can do it. Don't bother playing to the percentages. Just take this club and whack it, give it your best." And, you can see Don Johnson thinking, you're my caddy. You give me the club that I want to use. And Kevin Costner's going, "No, you can do it. I could hit that shot." And there's a few other golfers playing the tournament are listening in, and they are aware of Kevin Costner's character in his history. By the way, his character in the movie is called Roy McAvoy. And they decide to take a bet right in the middle of this match. And they say, we'll have a little wager that Roy can actually hit the ball over that water hazard. And Don Johnson looks at Kevin Costner and says, you take that shot and you can go. I'm going to fire you. And Kevin Costner, you can see him just think, "Oh, what the hell?" Because this is his trait. He can't help himself. So sure enough, he takes his shot, knocks it clean over the water hazard, and Don Johnson fires him on the spot. So it's one of those things where he's a bit angry with himself for doing it, but he's also kind of bitter at Don Johnson for putting him in that situation in the first place. So this kind of drives the plot forward, and it encourages Roy to qualify for the upcoming PGA Open Tour. And also in doing so, he thinks if he can qualify, it might put him in good standing with Rene Russo. So, he decides to do it. And in the meantime, he visits Rene Russo in her office, to try and get some psychology therapy from her. And in a way, he's also using it to just have a chance to see her again. So it comes up to one of the first great scenes in the film that I really like, where he's playing the qualifying rounds for the PGA Open, and Romeo's there as his caddy. And he gets to a point during the round where he thinks, "I'm going to smash the course record. I'm doing really well, and I'm going to go for it. And really make an imprint and smash the course record." And Romeo, ever level-headed, kind of says, "Don't let your emotions take over. Just play it safe. Go by the statistics. You're already ahead. You don't need to prove anything. This is just a qualifier." But Kevin Costner, as I say, is a little bit arrogant, a little bit stubborn. And he just says, "Give me the club, that I want." And he asks him to give him, I think he wants to use a driver or something. And Romeo gets so frustrated with him that he breaks the club over his knee. And so Kevin Costner says, "Okay, that's not going to put me off. I'll manage it with the 3-wood. Give me the 3-wood. So then Romeo gets the 3-wood and breaks it over his knee. And so Kevin Costner then can see where this is going, and he ends up just breaking all the rest of his clubs himself and just leaves himself a 7-iron. So he has to play the rest of the round using one 7-iron club, even for putting. And he manages it. He doesn't get the course record, but he actually manages to play, the remainder of this round. And he's just walking around all these golf courses with just this one golf club. And it's a great sequence, and it begins to show you that underneath his stubbornness, and his touch of arrogance, that he is a damn good golfer at heart. So he qualifies for the PGA Open. And that's kind of leads into the big, all sports movies tend to follow a trope. I said this about Hoosiers, where you would have your protagonist and you would have to, whether it's a single person or a team, but they would start in a place where they're a bit of an underdog, and they would have to go through various, whether it's a training montage or various emotional things happening in their life. And then inevitably it gets to the main event at the end of the movie, and they win through, and, they'll win, whether it's a basketball game, whether it's a boxing match, whether they're playing baseball. So the first time I watched this, I kind of thought, well, I know how sports movies play out. I know how the tropes work for this genre, but I'm going to stick with it. And it really surprised me how it played out. And massive kudos to Ron Shelton for you know, subverting your expectations in what he does. But before we get to that, there's another little sequence in the film that I also really like, where the golfers are having a drink in the bar. From what I remember, I haven't recently watched this when I recorded this video, so how I normally do these things is I always just go by what I remember about the movie, what really stuck with me. So inevitably there might be tiny details I get wrong, but I feel that's a more true representation of what the movie means to me and trying to get that across to you. Does that make sense? So I believe they're in a bar having a drink, and Don Johnson turns up, and they have like a little, tit for tat conversation in this bar, Don Johnson and Kevin Costner. And Don Johnson ends up arranging a bet with Kevin Costner that he can drive a ball further than Kevin Costner can, using just a driver. I bet I can hit a ball a lot farther than you can. And for collateral, he says, and if Don Johnson says, if I win, I can have your car. And you can see Kevin Costner thinks about it for a second, but he's obviously slightly arrogant, and he thinks, no, I can do this. So he accepts the bet. So Kevin Costner takes the first shot down the driving range and completely smashes this golf ball, and you see it go off into the distance. And then it's Don Johnson's turn. So you think, well, is he going to do it, or is he going to lose, and it'll knock Don Johnson down a peg? And what he does is really funny. So he gets ready, and gets prepared to take the swing. But at the last second, he kind of turns by 90 degrees, when everybody thinks, what's he doing? And he hits the ball in another direction. And he ends up knocking it down this road. So there's this shot where you just see the golf ball bouncing down this tarmac. And of course, it's going on and on and on, and it just doesn't stop. And he ends up winning the bet and winning the car, albeit in a very crafty way. But I guess it was still a legit way because the rules weren't clearly set out, And you kind of feel sorry for Kevin Costner at this point, because you think, oh, that's a really dirty trick to play on him. But I guess Don Johnson's done it to kind of put him back in his place, and that sometimes his emotions do take hold. So it's a great sequence. But then we get into the PGA Open and the big part of the movie. And suffice to say, when I saw this and how it played out, I just thought, yes, this is brilliant. And it's not what I expected, but it's just as good. So full spoilers. I am going to say how this film ends. So if you'd rather watch it before I tell you, then by all means, just stop this video, and then, when you do watch it, you've just got to remember to come back. Or if you're not, if you just want to hear me talk about it, that's fine. So basically, they play, I think they do 3 rounds or 4 rounds on the golf courses. And it gets down to the final hole on the final round. And Kevin Costner and Don Johnson and another player are all in the lead. It's like a 3-way tie for the lead. And the hole that they're going to play, I think it's what they call a par 5. So that means they have to take 5 shots at the golf ball to get it into the cup. And the hole has a water hazard just before the green. So there's a water running across the actual course. So you're in danger of going into the water. And I think Don Johnson goes first, and he does the laying up thing. So rather than try and hit the ball over the water hazard, he hits it on his side of the water hazard and plays it safe, and then takes another shot to knock it over the water hazard onto the green. So it gets to Kevin Costner's turn. And as I say, he's tying in the lead. So you think, well, he could also lay up like Don Johnson does. But he decides that he's going to go for it and try and knock it over the hazard. And, Cheech Marin, his caddy's there going, no, at this point, you're in the US Open. We're in the final. You're tying for the lead. Don't risk it. Just play it safe. Just try and equal. But Kevin Costner's going, I can do it. I know I can do it. Give me the club. I'm going to knock it over that water hazard. So begrudgingly, he hands him the club that he wants and he takes his swing. And this is the start of a brilliant sequence in the movie, where the whole crowd follows the ball go up into the air and it comes down and you think, oh, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? And it lands on the green and you think, yes. But then it slowly starts to roll backwards because the green's on a slight incline. And you can hear the crowd going, oh, and the ball just rolls down this incline very slowly and plops into the water hazard. And obviously everybody goes, oh, because he's now got to take a drop, which will reduce his score. So you would think at that point he would go, right, stuff that, I'm going to lay up. But this is where it gets really brilliant, because he doesn't. He wants to go again. He wants to drive it again from that point where he's standing. So he asks Cheech Marin for another ball. And you can see Cheech Marin going, what are you doing? Don't do it. Just take the drop. And, at best we'll get second place. But second place in the PGA Open. But he just goes, give me the ball, when he has another go. And sure enough, it goes up into the air. It lands on the green and it rolls back and plops into the water. So you're thinking, oh, no. So now he's really messed up. He's going to be like third or fourth place or even fifth place. But he keeps going. And this is where the movie subverts your expectations, because he just keeps trying to hit this shot over the water. And he keeps failing shot after shot. And you're watching him just throw away everything he's done up till that point. And his name's going further down the leaderboard every time he takes a drop. And it gets to like his 12th attempt. And, he just holds his hand out to Cheech Marin as if to say, give me the ball. And Cheech Marin, gets his ball, because at this point he's totally exasperated with him, and just slaps it into his hand and says, this is the last ball. Make the shot, let's get out of here. So he thinks, right, this is my last attempt. So he gets ready and he thwacks it. And, it's this great moment where the music goes all quiet as the ball's going up in the air. And you think, well, this is his last attempt. So I'm going to guess he's going to do it and it's going to go on the green. And this is like the stroke of genius. And it goes up in the air and it comes down. And it bump, and it lands on the green. And you think, yes! But then it keeps rolling forward and it rolls nearer to the hole. And before you know it, plop, and it goes straight into the hole.
Get him. There you go. It's over.
And it's such a great moment. It's like he's beaten all of his demons. And, he all the while is saying he can make this shot. And he just proves to everybody that, he threw away the title and it took him 12 attempts. But he did it, and he got it in like a hole in one. And it's such a fantastic moment. And it's like Rennie Russo. She comes down out of the stands to give him a hug. And she says to him at the end, don't worry about it. 10, 15 years from now, nobody's going to remember who won the PGA Open this year, but they're going to remember your 12th shot on the 18th hole. And that's exactly the point, that he kind of beat his demons and his arrogance and just proved that in that single moment that he is a really good golf player, so he demands the respect for just sticking to his guns and seeing it through to the end. And it's just such a brilliant way to end a sports movie. And as I say, it goes against all the tropes that have come before. And that's why I love it so much. And I had this on VHS. when it first came out in the mid-90s. And then not very long after that, obviously, DVDs came around, so I did buy it on DVD. So this is now my third time of owning this movie. And I very much doubt it will ever get a 4K release. I think it's one of those movies, which is why I'm doing it as a hidden gem video, that's kind of fallen under the radar, sadly. And in the pantheon of Kevin Costner films, this one always comes further down the list, unfortunately. But I just absolutely love it. And if you have an interest in golf and you love sports movies, even though I've just laid it all out to you, obviously the other things happen sprinkled throughout the movie that I've not covered. So it's well worth a watch, and I thoroughly recommend it. So if you've enjoyed that, then please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell, and at the very least, just give me a thumbs up. It really helps me. I'm still a very lowly YouTuber with very few subscribers, but thank you so much to those of you that have subscribed. It really means a lot to me. So yeah, Tin Cup. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye-bye for now.